is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
I'm depending on your son.
Oops. Wrong button. Oh, wow. We're off to a really good start.
It's in our head. It might as well be in yours.
Might as well.
Good morning, Americans.
Mm-hmm.
It's Friday.
Okay. Not off to a Friday kind of start, though.
We got there.
Yeah, eventually. Sure. Welcome to it. 888-900-3393. Pat Unleashed on Twitter coming up. Pretty excited about this. Coming up at the bottom of hour 2 today, we'll be joined by Jason Hanley, who is the Vice President of Education and Visitor Engagement at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland.
Nice.
We've got some questions for him. Like, obviously, why is Dolly Parton in the Hall of Fame but not Foreigner? How's that possible?
We have discussed we're not going to just start off with that.
No, we're not going to start.
No, we're going to lure him in.
We're going to lay the
He's
groundwork a
among
little
friends.
bit.
Hey, you guys have a pretty impressive building. I saw it once. I did a broadcast from there in 1996 or so. It's a beautiful building.
What's your biggest attempt at listener and viewer engagement happening this year?
Yeah, let him think he's among friends.
Well, he is.
He is
among friends.
Yeah,
Let him get comfortable.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk to him at 7:30-ish. So that's coming up.
90 minutes.
Can't wait. And usually I'm not one for interviews, but this one should be fun. NCAA tournament started yesterday, and somebody on Kamala Harris's staff,
I guess, yeah.
smelled something he liked, I guess. Check
So
this guy out.
weird.
Checking out Kamala.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Hey.
Isn't that weird? What are you doing?
That's not real.
What do you mean it's not real?
That's not real.
What do you mean it's not real?
He could almost make it look like he's trying to see the scoreboard or something, but then he kind of leans in like, hey, what up?
Smelling my boss, that's all. Nothing wrong with that.
That's awkward.
Very
I
awkward.
feel like that's not true.
What do you mean? What do you think
feel
this
like-
is?
I don't know.
This
It
was
feels
live
it's like
on
CGI.
This was on CBS during the Kansas Howard game. She's a Howard alum. She was there.
Gosh,
What do you mean?
Kansas versus Howard. I wonder who won that game.
I don't know.
Was it even close? What was the score?
I think they won
Don't
by
know.
20. Kansas.
20. I
Something
would have
like that.
expected
I
more,
don't know.
but
Yeah.
whatever. Jayhawks defending national champions. There was a big upset yesterday when Furman beat Arizona.
Oh, what an ending.
15 seed beats a
Yeah.
number 2 seed. That doesn't happen very often.
Furman beat Virginia.
Furman beat Virginia, but who was it that beat Arizona?
Arizona, they fell to the 15 seed.
Princeton.
Thank you.
They lost to Princeton.
Gosh.
Jeez.
That was a whole 12 hours ago, Keith. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, it is March
That's
Madness.
why they call it March Madness, everybody. Good morning.
How's those brackets?
Busted.
Mine's already broken. The whole bracket busted
A lot of red
yesterday,
marks on that bracket already.
That moron that's sitting in the White House, whoever's on his staff, because obviously it wasn't him, posted his bracket after the early game started.
His bracket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, shut up.
Like he even knows what's going on.
Yeah.
I think they're playing volleyball or something. Are they playing handball? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
I mean, I see, Kamala was at the...
She had some free time. She could get down there.
Yeah, she was at... But she was on...
She's busy
she was
normally.
on the great Stephen Colbert show. Because that show is great.
Awesome.
Yeah, just like Steve is.
Right.
And she was asked, Steve actually asked her a tough question like, hey, what's your job?
Oh, okay.
And
that is a tough question for her. Let's see what happened.
One of the themes of the show is that her character, Selena Meyer, is frustrated by the sometimes vague duties of the role. Like it's a high constitutional office, but it's not prescribed so much about what you're supposed to be doing. Does that ring true? Like what is the actual role on a daily basis as you have found it?
Well, I have the great privilege of serving with Joe Biden, who was president of the United States.
Breaking news.
With the moronic explanation.
She got more.
Couldn't be more obvious.
and was vice president, right?
Does that affect it? Does he understand what it's like to be a vice president?
He does, and he really is a true partner, and he understands the job. And remember, we came in during the height of the pandemic,
yes.
And so much of the work was about, okay, we've got to cover a lot of bases, and let's figure out how between us we can do it. But he is an extraordinary leader, and I wish that people could see what I see, because there's only one person who sits behind that resolute desk.
As VP.
And the decisions that person has to make are the decisions that nobody else in the country can make. And he's an extraordinary leader.
Oh, my gosh. What garbage.
Steve calls her out, though.
Yeah.
Really?
Steve's like,
yeah, it's not really what I asked you.
That's an excellent answer. And the question was, what is the job of the vice president? And your answer is part of the job, I'm guessing.
Well, my job is to do, for example, I'll tell you, I was recently in Munich at the Munich Security Conference.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the job there was to stand up, and as you know, most of my career I spent as a prosecutor, and I declared that we, the United States of America, believe that Russia has committed crimes against humanity.
Yes.
yeah, hey.
What is the significance?
So your job is to say that Russia has committed crimes against humanity?
Yes.
That's what your job is as vice president?
Doing that for the president, Joe Biden. Yeah.
Okay, now that you did that, now what do you do then? You completely, I guess, completed your task as vice president.
So you're done here.
Yeah, you're done. So move on. Go back to being a prosecutor, perhaps.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow, she's bad. Oh, my gosh.
He gave her every opportunity.
He just laid it out for her, and she still
couldn't do it. Incredible. Incredible. You could at least say, well, I break ties in the Senate. There's that. Okay. That is an actual job of the vice president. But we still didn't hear any of the duties of a vice president.
Well, especially this one, right? I mean, she has to be up by 9 to get over to the White House and make sure Joe's up. Right?
Well, that doesn't happen until about 12:30 in the afternoon. Yeah.
So what does she do between 9 and 12:30 then?
She has breakfast because she gets up at 9,
fair.
and then pretty soon it's time for breakfast. Finishes that up by about 10.
About 10, okay. Then what's she got going on?
And so at 10, she gets up from the table and asks the chef to start lunch. So by about 11, he's got it ready. And she eats, sits down,
she's a furnace.
Has a nice meal till about 12.
Oh, she is
By
a furnace.
then, it's almost time to go wake up the president.
I see.
And see how many times he's pooped his pants during the night.
Oh, no.
So
that's her job?
That's her job.
She drew that straw?
That's her job, yeah.
Unhook the IV. Let's go, Joey.
Yeah.
Time to get up.
We see you did some doo-doo last night, Mr. President. Oh, no.
Oh,
honey,
no. Honey, no. That's supposed to already be done before I show up.
Right. So it's a tough job. Nobody said it was easy.
Boy, that's harder than I realized.
I wouldn't want to do it. Tell you that right now. In fact, I would not do it. I would I'd defer to the Secretary of State.
How much would they pay? How much could they pay to do that?
There is no amount they could pay me to do that.
That is not true. But,
yeah, it is true. How much would you do it for? What's the least you would do it for?
A couple $100,000.
Would you really?
Yeah, a couple $100,000.
For a couple $100,000,
That's
you would
easy
change
money.
the president's pants?
That's easy money.
All right.
Oh, God. Would you be like saying, hey, you should really give hardworking Americans a tax cut? This little proposal you're trying to push through.
I don't care.
You'd have his ear.
I'm here to throw the diapers
You'd have
out
his
and collect
ear.
my check.
Oh, but you'd have his ear, Jeffy.
I'd have more than that.
Okay.
Oh, man. Now, it takes a special kind of person.
It certainly does.
Because there are people who actually do
yes, it certainly does.
And hats off to them.
I am not one.
Me neither.
I am not one.
Me neither.
My first wife was, and I never understood it. Yeah.
Really?
Ooh, yeah.
She did that?
Yeah.
She worked with, nursing homes and things?
She was an RN, registered nurse, and she worked for home health for a number of years.
Oh, man, no thank you.
And hospice.
No thank you.
And it was, no thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, you get attached to the people taken care of. And
and then they're gone.
I know. It's really sad.
Hard. Yeah.
Really sad.
All right. Yesterday we were shocked that Joe Biden let let the Willow project for oil drilling go forward in Alaska. Incredible, on the North Slope. And we actually had a tweet that nailed this. But here's KJP explaining the situation.
Yeah, thank you, Karine. What is the White House's reaction to environmental activists critical of the Biden administration's approval of the Willow oil project? They argue that the president has undermined his own goals on climate change in approving this.
So a couple of things there. Look, the president, when it comes to, you're talking about the Willow project?
Yeah, the Willow oil project.
Yeah, that's why he said the Willow project.
The president kept his word when he, where he can, by law, right? That is important to note. As the Interior Department said, some of the company's leases are decades old, granted by prior administrations. The company has a legal right to those leases. The department's options are limited when there are legal contracts in place. For example, the DOI solicitor under President Clinton and law professor at U.S. Hastings said they have lease rights, and that can't be ignored. That's a big figure on the scale in the favor of development. And so I'll leave it there. But again, the president is delivering the most aggressive climate agenda in the U.S. history, and that is going to be his continued commitment to the American people.
So the position of the White House that there was no other option other than approving the permits for the
Well, I just laid out. There was a legal right to. They had legal right to those leases, right? And the president's going to do what he can under as the law permits. And so again, this is a president who's delivered on the most aggressive climate
we would have
agenda
said no
in
if we
U.S.
could have.
history, and he's going to continue to do that.
But we couldn't.
Yep.
Wow, amazing that they let a law stop them.
Bound by law.
That's for sure.
Nate it.
Wait, easy there. Boy, what's going on? Looks like she was getting ready to leave.
Yeah. I mean, the press apparently finally told her how upset they are that Biden never talks. He never takes questions.
So
he just sits there and looks like a deer in headlights.
Legacy media yesterday finally turned on them.
Yeah, because you start offending them. You go directly at them and their interest. Why then they'll get pissed off.
If you don't, in other words, they've got your back, Democrats.
Right, until.
But the thing is, you got to let them do their job. They have to make it look like they're actually working and working for the people. Mm-hmm. And if you can't even give them that, then they start
look
to
out.
get a little upset. Yeah.
They'll turn on you like this.
Nate it.
Wait, that's okay. What's happening? You're gonna have to give up on that clip, Kayla, because something's wrong with it. Can we?
Is that the one where they're starting to yell at her how pissed off they are?
I love seeing the great big book of everything in the picture, though.
Max Headroom there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Anyway, one of the reporters screamed at her. That's not true.
Yeah. Oh, because
she said,
look, he does these things where he sits there with other people, and they're like, they don't take questions in there.
Right.
To your point about sitting there for a minute while they scream at him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in the White House when he has guests, they all just scream at him, and he sits there and chuckles.
Okay, here it is. Let's
okay.
Let's go.
Nate it. That's not true. He's answered questions.
We get yelled at.
It's not. Here's.
Shouted down when we're in the
I hear you guys. Look, the 2+2 is something that is done in coordination with the country that is visiting. That is not something that is unilaterally decided. That is something that is in discussion with the other country. I was asked about the 2+2.
Other countries.
I also was adding that there is an opportunity where press will be in the room with the two leaders. I cannot speak to who's going to take questions or who's not going to take questions. As you know, this is a president that takes shouted questions often.
Wow.
Well, that's not true.
No, and that's what they were telling her. It's not true. You're lying. The press is always shouted down when we're in the Oval Office. Yep. One of them yelled at her. They shout at us to get out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's true. We see and hear that all the time.
I mean, it wasn't... just a week ago, he walked out of the White House to go on one of his vacation trips and walked over toward the press and then just...
That's because
they asked him a question about China that he didn't like.
China and COVID. Oh, no.
Turned around and walked off. Mm-hmm.
I'm out of here.
Yep.
That's great.
All right. Let me tell you about something that can revitalize your life, and that's Nugenics. It is a fantastic product. If you want more energy to counter the negative physical effects of aging and you're kind of at your wit's end, Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster with Testofen will help you turn back the clock. It'll re-energize your workouts, maybe help you feel like doing workouts again. It'll get you better results in the gym, and you'll look and feel more like the man you really want to be. Nugenix Total T. It contains man-boosting key ingredients like Testofen. It's been validated in 5 clinical studies, shown to boost free testosterone levels in men. And right now, you can get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text UNLEASHED to 231231. Text that now. Get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you get back in shape fast. Absolutely free. So, again, text UNLEASHED to 231231. UNLEASHED to 231231. Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
Also yesterday, we were gelling with Yellen. Secretary of State Janet Yellen. Treasury, I mean. Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen told Congress that the banks are fine. The banks are secure.
Oh, do we want to play the clip that you sent, Jeffy?
She's
very convincing. Let's play that one first.
Where she really solidly told
confidence.
us. Yeah. If you're worried about the banks collapsing, that have been collapsing over the last week, after you see this, you're going to feel totally fine about it.
You're ready to go.
Yeah.
You're ready to go.
The Federal Reserve is providing additional support to the banking system with a new lending facility. This will help financial institutions meet the needs of all of their depositors.
Okay, good.
I can reassure the members of the committee that our banking system is sound and that Americans can feel confident
Pause it
that
for a
their
sec.
deposits.
Yeah, it's sound. I hear the sound of them collapsing right now. You bet. That's what that sound is. It's the sound of every bank in America beginning to collapse.
And what does that mean? We have a new lending facility. Does that mean that they have a new printing press? That
yes.
They're just churning out more money? What does that mean?
I don't know, but I was thinking the same thing. That
a new lending facility.
That they just turned on overnight?
Okay.
There's not much more left to that.
Let's see the rest, though. Come on.
Be there when they need them.
Comforting.
This week's actions demonstrate our resolute commitment to ensure that our financial system remains strong.
Oh, good.
And that depositors' savings remain safe.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. So rest easy
all
today. Everything's fine. That's great.
Well, Jim Cramer says that the Fed is
great.
on the cusp of a soft, safe landing, which means, we are in trouble.
Yeah.
Head for the hills.
Wow.
If Jim Cramer is making a prediction that things are going to be good, it's not.
Seriously, has he ever been right about anything?
Not as of late, it feels like.
Hoo-wee. She was also asked about Joe Biden's plan to save Social Security.
Oh, good.
The president knows many people on Social Security.
Then why doesn't the president care?
He cares very deeply.
Then where is his plan?
He stands ready to work with Congress.
That's a lie, because when a bipartisan group of senators has repeatedly requested to meet with him about social, so that somebody who is a current beneficiary will not see her benefits cut by 24%, we have not heard anything on our request. And we've made multiple requests to meet with the president. Now,
what do you
can't
say?
comment on that. I realize that, but that is a fact. And if you've been told to say he stands ready to meet, I will tell you there's absolutely no evidence because we have not gotten our meeting.
Bill Cassidy. Good job there.
Nice. Talk about holding somebody's feet to the fire with some actual facts. What are you going to say to that?
Well, yeah. I mean, Yellen would just say, yep, I've been told that he's willing to meet.
Right. That's great stuff. But I'm really glad that she took the time to put to rest all of our fears about the banking situation. Right? Because, I mean, banks in Europe were collapsing. They collapsed here. And then to hear her say that the financial institutions are sound in this country, I'm so comforted now.
Good.
Yeah, that's fine. Everything's good. You see it. It's still hard to believe how stupid they think we are, and the lies they think we're going to swallow. Of course, a lot of Democrats will swallow
Absolutely.
that. They'll just believe it because a Democrat said it, and we're done. We're done here. Nothing to see. Move along. Meanwhile, House Republicans revealed some information about the Biden family's business dealings, which are, of course, also sound.
On the up and up?
Yes, indeed. Complete transparency is what the Bidens believe in here. President Biden's daughter-in-law, Hallie Biden, was among several family members who pocketed payouts after a Hunter Biden associate received a $3 million wire payment from a Chinese energy company, according to a House committee.
Yes.
The Biden family members received more than $1 million in payments over a 3-month period after the Chinese wire transfer cleared, according to a memo detailing the payments, which was issued by the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. That's why you see this everywhere in the news today.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, can you believe this? Nobody's talking about it.
She got screwed in the deal, too, actually.
Who did? Hallie?
Hallie, yeah, because I feel like they transferred like $1 million to her, and she had to then transfer other money to other people. And she only ended up with $30,000 or something.
What?
And I was like,
really?
What are we doing here?
Come
somebody
on,
needs
give Hallie a break.
Drop me a little more cash.
She's a widow. Let her keep more of that.
Right. I mean, I realize that Hunter's probably paying most of the bills at that time.
And James Comer, the congressman from Kentucky who's on top of this, he said this is the first of many that they're going through. So there's going to be other shoes to drop here.
Wow.
And to what you said about why isn't this everywhere, I was surprised. I just glanced up there a few minutes ago on CNN, and they were going to a commercial break. And
did they mention it?
It was referenced. So I don't know if they're going to talk about it coming up here or what, but that was interesting to see that graphic up there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, until they can tie it to Joe, they can talk about it.
Well, as the story continues, we might actually have that. We'll see.
Several payments were also sent to companies associated with Biden's brother, James Biden, and, of course, son Hunter, in addition to Hallie. An unknown account identified only as Biden also received transfers from the company owned by Hunter Biden associate Rob Walker in the months after the $3 million wire cleared in 2017. So we're just
so we might get
fascinating.
something there, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It was unclear what services Biden associates provided to Mr. Walker.
All right, what do you mean? What did Hallie do for this company?
We don't really, that's not clear right now.
Okay.
The Oversight Committee is concerned about the national security implications resulting from President Biden's family receiving millions of dollars from foreign nationals.
Yeah, well,
come on. We will continue to follow the money trail and facts to determine if President Biden is compromised by his family's business schemes and if there is a national security threat.
Mm-hmm.
I want to assure the American people that there is no national security.
Thank you, Mr. Yellen. Appreciate that comforting announcement.
You're welcome.
Just like her banking thing comforted me. Your message right there just takes all the worry away from me.
Well.
The memo said committee investigators are particularly concerned why Hallie Biden, publicly reported to work as a school counselor, received money from Walker's business. The memo also notes that a company affiliated with James Gillier, another Biden family associate, received more than $1 million from Mr. Walker's business account. Okay. That was the day after the Chinese wire transfer. The payment details were revealed in bank records obtained by the committee in response to a recent subpoena issued to the Bank of America.
So again,
this is going to get really interesting.
Yeah, all of this stuff that should have been investigated
a long
ago,
time ago.
Now that the House belongs to Republicans,
they are.
This stuff is it's just like you're cramming, all of these things into the last couple of months here.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see where this leads.
So that's why when your friends say, well, why are they just starting to talk about this now if it was such a big deal in 2017? Well, it's because the Democrats have been in charge, and they squashed all this. They didn't look into it. What was revealed was suppressed by Twitter and others. I mean, do you remember when this whole thing started? It was all swept under the rug very conveniently.
And by the way, you talk about why isn't this getting more traction already? I think it might, but can you imagine? You wouldn't have to wait for this thing to get traction if this was the Donald Trump family. This was the Trump family doing this. That's all CNN would be talking about this morning. Oh my gosh.
No doubt about it.
Is this president run by China?
Yes.
The family is in dirty? Yeah, exactly.
That's what would be happening.
They would have live shots at every Trump home.
Yeah.
Every family member's home now.
Yeah, they would.
There would be satellite trucks parked right outside.
They would talk about recent purchases that people in the family had made since this transaction. Yeah, look at that nice new car. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we all know the Biden family is so clean and
that's
so
why this
above
is shocking.
board. Yeah.
When this broke last night, I was like, what?
Were you dumbfounded?
Not my Biden family.
I was gobsmacked.
Oh, that's a good one.
Really?
That's a good word.
Yeah, I was gobsmacked. And that doesn't happen to me very often. But that's what happened last night. Yeah. That's the only word for it. Gobsmacked.
Yeah.
Are you okay now, or
no? Not yet.
Really?
But I'm trying to work through it. You know, I'm just trying to get through it as best I can.
Bounce back from being gobsmacked.
No, you do not.
Need to watch some more basketball today.
I know. All right. This is interesting too. Gwyneth Paltrow has revealed something very interesting. She apparently had rectal ozone therapy for wellness.
Nice.
Who among us, right, Jeffy?
So you talk about blowing sunshine up your ass.
No doubt. Thank you.
This is ozone, not sunshine.
Right.
But still, you're blowing it up the same place.
Get a rim shot with that?
But talk about blowing sunshine up your ass.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. All right.
That works.
I didn't want to cheapen it with the rim shot.
Okay. Well, yeah. No, I don't want to cheapen
it was such a highbrow line. You don't want to sit there and tinker with it.
Yeah.
Don't want to tinker with it after the fact.
That's right.
Let it lie. It's just too good.
What's it supposed to do?
Oh, man. From the New York Post. Let's see if they tell us.
Okay.
Wellness guru Gwyneth Paltrow. Wellness guru.
Oh, yeah. Her Goop.
She's not even an actress anymore. She's a wellness guru.
Yeah. From the Goop website? Heck, yeah.
Goop.
She would rather smoke crack than eat cheese from a can. Wait, why are those your only two choices? Wait,
very binary options there.
Kind of weird.
That sounds like a weekend with Jeffy. Am I right?
It doesn't it?
Cheese from a can and crack.
But when it comes to blowing air up her butt, she's all in. So this is good stuff. During an appearance this week on Will Cole's podcast, The Art of Being Well, the Goop Goddess, who's now 50, if you can believe it, revealed the weirdest wellness thing she's ever done, and it's unbelievable. I have used ozone therapy rectally, she admitted during the podcast.
Okay.
It's pretty weird, but it's been very helpful.
In quote?
In what way? What does it do for you?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody who's had rectal ozone therapy could clue us in as to what this does for you.
It's got to just have some sort of healing process for your innards, right?
Well,
it does?
You need medical grade ozone gas, though. I don't know where you obtain that.
Costco. The problem is you have to buy so much of it.
You have to buy two great big tanks.
And so you invite your friends over. It makes for an awkward night, but whatever.
Oh, that's not awkward at all.
I'm sorry. In order to get it from Costco or Sam's, you have to have a 4-year supply. So,
well, it depends on how often you do it.
So it's created by using an ozone generator device.
Okay.
While ozone gas is made in nature, the Food and Drug Administration called it a toxic substance that can be injurious to health. Weird. Mm-hmm. There are multiple methods to deliver the gas, including blowing it in your rectum, like Paltrow claims she's done.
This is good, right?
What a world. I mean, can you believe this is what we're talking about? We could have talked about something else, but... Once we saw this story, we knew. No, we're talking about that.
It helps with circulation or something, right?
Okay,
no, we're going to get to it.
Oh, good.
I'm going to keep you in suspense another couple minutes because I know you're going to want this therapy as soon as you hear its advantages.
Yeah.
We'll get to that coming up.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you. This is the day, of course, we celebrate the man who drove the snakes out of Ireland. Like a Pied Piper, I guess. Good. He just started playing a flute, and all the snakes gathered up behind him, and he let them right into the ocean.
Nice.
Drowned them all.
Do it.
Yeah.
Nice.
It had to be done.
Good for him.
And he was the man for the job, quite clearly.
For him. And we have
not a single snake in Ireland now.
And we have corned beef and cabbage to celebrate it.
Man, oh man.
So it's awesome.
Just the smell alone is enough to make me vomit.
I know.
Wow.
My dad loved it.
Oh my
gosh,
we
did he
used to
love
have
it.
cabbage cooking and everything. As a kid, it was just agonizing.
No, honey, don't. No,
I know.
Please don't. No.
I know.
But I mean, my dad's mom was right off the boat from I don't know, Blarney, Ireland or someplace. So, yeah.
Go back there and cook it.
Right. Thank you. Exactly. Keep your nasty smells over there.
Right.
Jeffy hears that a lot.
Got some tweets. Wait. Oops, all variants. Tweets, happy St. Patheads Day. Oh, nice. Thank you. Jeffy's enormous umbrella tweets, Kamala should have borrowed KJP's book of everything and looked up the job description for vice president.
Oh, I bet it's in there. That book's getting bigger.
She couldn't read it
Kamala?
as much as KJP can read her great big book of everything.
Watch that book at these press briefings. It's getting thicker.
Bigger and more full of everything. Yeah. Rowdy introvert. I think we all know who's not going to take questions. If there weren't the occasional hot mic moments, the people's only exchanges with the president would come through dementia-laden interpretations of prepared propaganda. Alpha 7615, the best thing the White House press could do right now, the best thing they could do right would be to boycott the press briefings. We wouldn't learn any less, to be honest, and wouldn't learn any more. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'd be just like now. And occasionally that's what Trump did. He just wouldn't do the press conferences because he knew he was in for a bludgeoning every single day.
But aside from that, though, Trump didn't need it because he stood in front of those.
Yeah, every day.
Every day.
Yeah, and answered questions. He walked over to them. They asked him nasty things. He just answered them
every day.
Yeah. Gender McGenderface tweets regarding the clip of Janet Yellen, I'm convinced that the people who sit in the background are being paid to be there. Their sole profession is to sit still, stay awake, and look completely lost. And I hope they're making good money for that because that's very difficult. All right, we were talking about Goop Princess Gwyneth Paltrow.
What are you talking about,
yeah,
Princess?
Goop Goddess. That's a yes. Not only does she have the vagina candle.
You're right.
That supposedly...
That may be sold out now. I haven't been to the website in a while. Yeah.
In a long while.
But now she's talking about rectal ozone therapy.
Rectal ozone therapy.
Okay.
Yeah, you say it like you're not sure.
But you got to have medical grade ozone, we found out.
That's the thing.
From a licensed dealer or Costco. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're looking for the benefits of this treatment.
Yeah.
And let's see. Although there's only limited evidence regarding the benefits of ozone therapy, some believe that it can help improve blood circulation, boost the immune system, defend from bacteria and fungi, and reduce oxidative stress.
Hate that. Hate oxidative stress.
You and me both, brother.
Right.
That's why I'm seriously looking into rectal ozone therapy. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Jeffy, did you?
You sound like you're not, but you should.
You need my Costco card this weekend, Jeffy. After hearing this, sounds like good stuff. Hey, by the way, I'm looking up these press conferences that presidents have done over the years. Trump, man, he did 44 in 4 years. Biden's done 11 in over 2.
But that doesn't count the times that Trump just walked out to the gaggle of press out there and stood there and just took the heat from them.
Oh, yeah. Fair point. Absolutely. Biden, 10 of his 11 press conferences were joint ones with someone else. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay, it's 10 with someone else and then 11. Okay. But Calvin Coolidge, in 5.5 years in office, did 407 press conferences.
Holy cow. That probably averages out to what? One in almost every other week?
Yeah, it said 6 a month.
Jeez.
I mean, you talk about somebody who gets a reputation for not talking a lot.
Yeah.
If only we had those recorded, those press
Incredible.
briefings. Yeah.
Some of these things.
Rectal ozone time.
Yeah, that Gwyneth Paltrow has done. Really amazing. She once gushed over the benefits of vaginal eggs.
Right. Yeah, the eggs, you can get those on the website.
A rotund jade stone that you can put there.
Yeah.
And she was sued because for $145,000 after she was accused of making false promises about the eggs. So apparently somebody tried it, and they didn't get the benefit that she got out of it.
Right.
So they sued her. And that was, I think, she settled the lawsuit out of court. So good for her. That was so weird. Is there anybody more weird than Gwyneth Paltrow?
Well, I mean, you're talking about
Jeff
if
Fisher.
you're looking at inside the city limits of Hollywood.
Yes,
I don't know. There's a lot of people, but I mean,
crazy.
So rectal ozone therapy. I mean, that's who hasn't had like a caffeine enema, stuff like that.
I haven't. But
really?
you have, you've had a coffee enema before.
Okay,
good. You should try this then. You should try the rectal ozone.
That wasn't coffee, was it, Jeffy?
Oh well.
Oh well.
No follow-ups.
Not
we
every
won't get
time.
into that.
Not every time.
But speaking of weird celebrities, Jamie Lee Curtis the other day, she won the Oscar. I think that's her first, right?
Yes, it is. It's first for her entire family. Whole family.
Her dad,
she finally
Tony
won
Curtis,
one.
Didn't win one?
No.
Okay.
And neither did Mom, right? Mom is Janet Lee, right?
Oh, yeah. Tony Curtis and Janet Lee, I believe. Yeah. I mean, that's a big-time celebrity
that's Hollywood
family.
elite.
Yeah, definitely. So she won her first Oscar, and then she appeared on one of the morning shows. Not sure which, but what a dumb question this is. Listen to this.
Here they are.
Oh, NBC.
Have we named her? What's her? I'm in support of my daughter Ruby. I'm having them be a they them. Oh. I'm gonna just call them them. They them.
And, you don't even know.
They are doing great. And they're settling in. I couldn't. I mean, I just.
They, them.
I couldn't.
Okay, so it's a they, them, the Oscar statue. First of all, who has ever been asked, what did you name your Oscar before? That was totally set up so she could get into the nonsensical they, them pronoun bullcrap. Yeah, shut up. They know it already has a name. It's Oscar.
Yeah, and the next time you do an interview, especially after winning the Oscars, wear something besides your bathrobe or she's in her pajamas.
Yeah, but the whole thing was just set up.
set up, absolutely. So she could do a they them.
So she could talk about her son, who's now her daughter.
Oh, is that okay?
Is that what it is? I was just looking up Ruby.
Really? So it's a dude?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's her son, who is, I guess, transitioning.
What was his name?
To a woman. I don't know what the name was before, but it's Ruby now. Don't dead name him.
My bad.
Okay, that would be terrible.
Yeah, clearly.
So silly. The whole thing is so stupid. I'm already so tired of it. We've been dealing with this for, 2 years now? I just can't take any more of it, I don't think. There's also a transgender athlete who just helped... the girls track team win the state track and field championships.
Up in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah. Guess which one?
Which one?
Which one was a boy and is now a girl?
Do you want me to guess?
Yeah, guess which one.
Eeny,
meeny, miny, mo.
4-8.
4-8.
2.
Okay, 2.
I'd like to draw attention as the girls and the dude are posing for this picture. I would like to draw attention to the one girl's hand that's kind of around the waist of the dude there. Mm-hmm. You know, like she's like, okay, I'll pose for this picture. She's not got her hand out. She's just got the little
she's got the fist at the end there.
Like,
yeah,
I'm not so good.
It's kind of telling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for all the girls who got beat out by him, by the male in the competition, he had a message for them.
Oh,
and that was, deal with it. Just deal with it.
What a loser. What a loser.
Unbelievable.
Here we are.
Wow.
When did we stop? And I know we've asked this question on the show and other shows.
Protecting girls?
When did we stop just believing in the sanctity of females?
And,
I understand.
And that they had certain rights that needed to be protected, and that they needed to be protected against predators. Right? I mean, haven't we always done that? And now they just don't give a rat's anus about it. Somebody needs an ozone rectal treatment here. Yeah, I think it's the Massachusetts High School Sports Authority, the Interscholastic Athletic Association, because they just don't care. They couldn't care less about women, about girls. And it's unconscionable to me. And it's been in the last, 2 years?
Yeah.
That's been a thing?
Well, I mean, it's really taken a strong foothold for sure the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they kept trying, right? And prior to that, and everybody was kind of like, no.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But it's turned into yes.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
I mean,
and don't bother me with the concerns about the girls.
No,
we don't care.
We don't care.
Whatever.
Deal with it.
They got some dude with his thing dangling in the locker room. Don't worry about it.
I will say I have to learn more about Jamie Lee Curtis and Ruby.
And Ruby.
What was his name?
I just looked at this picture of Jamie Lee and her daughter, they, them.
Mm-hmm. Are you mocking? I hope you're not
I'm
mocking.
saying she's beautiful.
Okay.
She's beautiful.
Good.
I mean, I don't know if you could. I'll hold it up. You can zoom out.
Okay.
But I mean, that
A
picture
little
there
bit
from
of a glare
people.
there, but no. Here comes the close-up, and ta-da! Oh, you're right.
Oh,
Beautiful.
I mean, gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Gorgeous.
Look at that feminine neck. Nothing says chick like
an
broad
Adam's
shoulders
apple?
and Adam's
I
apple
want
and
to
a
read
thick
about
neck.
the journey.
Okay.
The journey.
Oh, they do have the journey that
The
Ruby has
journey,
taken.
yeah.
Good. Does it include competing against girls in high school sports? I hope.
No.
Because we need some of that.
Well, I wonder if this journey of Ruby is similar to what the South Carolina, the medical University of South Carolina did a training video, guys. And I think you really need to see this because this is good stuff. You got to see this interaction as a dad takes his child to the doctor because it's time to. What do you do when you're a kid, right? What's the one thing you do? I mean, you play sports, right? You hang out with your friends and you change your sex. So that's now America. And watch this. This is something else.
Okay.
Sorry, Bobby.
No. What are you doing? No, not that one. What are the next clip?
The training video.
6. Gender doctor's visit. Clip 6. Go.
Number 6.
And it goes a little something. Thank you.
Hello, how are you today? Hello, I'm here for my child's appointment. The name is S. Harris. Date of birth? 8/14/2012.
Great. Before we take you, we just need you to fill out these forms for us.
Pause it for a second.
Can sit down.
The acting in this
Very
is
good, right? It's good.
sensational. I mean, you would think that this was just a regular occurrence that somebody happened to film as it was happening.
You would think that.
It's so natural that it's hard to believe it's an actual training video. I can't believe it. I just thought these were real people going into a real situation and somebody just happened to have
like,
an
"Whoa,
iPhone and they decided to record it.
There's a camera there. I mean, that's awkward, but I'll go with it. Whatever.
All right, let's see the rest of this. Jeez.
Hi.
Bring it back to me when you're done. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, I will.
Okay. This is good
Let
stuff.
me see if I can fill this out now.
Oh, look. Now, this is a moment of
we're getting all this
consternation for the
information?
dad. And so the dad is like, okay, do I say he's a male? Or what do I do here? What?
This is a real conundrum.
What are you? Well, you're still a male, I think. Question mark. That gives me an out.
Yeah.
All right, now we're with the doctor. Here we go.
So, Sam, I'd like to ask you a few more questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
All right. Can you tell me, do you feel like a boy, like a girl, like both, or neither? And there's no right answer.
He keeps telling me that he's a girl.
Okay, he was talking to the
And
kid,
he doesn't
so why
want
don't you
boy
shut
stuff.
up?
So we let him go by the name of Sam. which I like because it could be for a boy or for a girl. I don't know. I think he just wants to be like his big sister.
Dad, I told you, I'm a girl.
I'm sorry, honey. This is hard to understand.
Thank you for sharing that. I would like to ask Sam. So what do you say, Sam?
I'm a girl.
How long have you known you're a girl?
I don't know, but a long time.
5 minutes.
So when we're talking about you, would you like for us to say he or she?
She.
Okay.
If he's a girl.
In this scenario, the registration form provided an opportunity for the parent to share his child's name, pronouns, and gender identity. This helped inform the provider in asking follow-up questions with Sam and his parent during the clinical visit. The provider was able to update the EHR after talking to Sam to make sure that the information about Sam's pronouns and gender identity was correct.
All right. Good. Okay, so let's break out the puberty blockers. Let's start messing with this kid's anatomy. Let's do it.
Yeah. And let's also take a close look at that form that cuck of a dad was filling out there in the waiting room. What was the name of the kid on the what is it? Is it Samuel Harris? There it is, Sam Harris. Isn't that the what's the guy's name?
Oh, there's a singer, Sam Harris, right?
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay.
No,
but that's not.
Who am I thinking of? No.
That's not that kid,
Who's
though.
the guy? Okay, then I'm thinking of someone else here. Who's the one guy who's they, them?
You know him.
Sam, what is it?
That guy.
No one's going to help me. Sam Smith, thank you. Oh, shoot.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
I was thinking it might have been that name that they were trying to kind of under the radar there, but no, okay, my bad.
I mean, the kid kept insisting she's a girl, and the dad seemed a little confused. Come on, dude, she's telling you.
Now, I will say that putting on a piece of paper that you're a girl or a boy really helps with the doctor's diagnosis of what's wrong with the kid physically.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with her.
That's what I mean.
There's nothing wrong.
Doesn't matter.
No. Just happened that she was born into the wrong body. Am I right?
That stinks. You know what? That stinks.
It does. It does.
Yeah. Shoot.
There was a mistake made at birth or before.
We can go down
I don't know what's going on.
Tell you what, let's just go down to MUSC if you're not doing anything this afternoon, and we'll get that taken care of. I mean, this is absurd. It's
ridiculous. And we're just supposed to swallow it and just say, yep, all right, that's what you got to do. You're supposed to change their sex then. All right. 888-900-3393. Don't forget, we got Jason Hanley from the Rock Hall of Fame coming up a little more than half an hour.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Pat Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
Good morning, American. It's Friday.
Welcome, and thank you for being here. 888-900-3393. Pat Unleashed on Twitter, where Lone Wolf 2965 tweets. I think I'd have more faith in wellness guru Jeffy. Than Gwyneth Paltrow?
Whoa,
wow.
That's a lot. Thank you.
I don't know if I could travel that road with him.
Really?
Yeah, because wellness guru Jeffy.
Wow.
Would you suggest to people that they try the rectal ozone therapy?
Ooh, tell us more.
Pretty sure you would.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then some.
Don't.
And then
Absolutely.
Pathead T tweets, remember before Trump was sworn into office, Pelosi and Congress forced Trump and family to give up their family business? But have said over and over that what Hunter did was done by a private citizen, not as a Biden.
That's a good reminder right there from Pathead T.
Yep.
And also, I mean, leave Joe out of this. He has said time and time again, he never talked to Hunter about his business dealings.
Right,
he
so
doesn't
leave him
even know
alone.
what this is all about.
Exactly. He didn't even know what Hunter was doing. I'm a lickin' butter. St. Patrick drove all the snakes from Ireland, and evidently they swam to Washington, D.C. Similarly, Rhino Hunting tweets, can we get a snake flute to lead all the corrupt political snakes into the Potomac? Yes, I'd like that. Mrs. Boots tweets, so how long till that big book of everything is brought in by wheelbarrow? Yeah, not much longer.
Not much longer. And first of all, it's great big book of everything.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, let's get it right.
It's a great big book of everything.
Man, can you imagine what a great prank that would be, especially on April Fool's Day coming up? you could go into KJP's office and take that
And
book,
remove the book?
and then she has to do a presser that day without it. Oh,
I'd love to see that.
oh, somebody get
She probably
on
couldn't
that.
finish a sentence.
No,
Couldn't.
she couldn't.
It'd be
There's
almost
no
like
probably
it'd be
about
almost
it.
like a regular one.
Yeah. Toothpaste Words tweets, if Jamie Lee really cared about being woke, wouldn't she have sacrificed her award to her black counterpart that lost?
Yeah, and don't forget, Angela Bassett was pissed that she didn't win.
Was she?
Yeah, she didn't stand
Really?
up. There was no clapping, nothing. That was part of it. That was a
She
little
was
bit,
vi-
little
when
bit of
the-
Oscar controversy.
So when the camera went to her, she was visibly pissed.
Yes.
Yeah, they did the 4-box, and she was in there just
Interesting.
like.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
I mean, you've seen what was it? Who was it? Faith Hill or somebody? Somebody got really upset one time, and they were like, like
That they didn't
how
win.
did I
Yeah.
not win
Yeah.
this? You know?
Yeah,
Huh.
but Angela was there with hubby, and hubby. They interviewed him after, and hubby was like, "I told her, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's part of the deal."
Apparently, she didn't buy into that line of thinking.
And I like Angela Bassett.
Yeah, I
but,
do too. Yeah, she's really good.
But
she was in the Wakanda thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see Wakanda, so what was it called? Wakanda Forever?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Really good.
Did not see. It was?
Yeah, I like it.
You
a
saw
lot.
it?
Yeah.
And it was good?
Yeah.
You're the first person I've heard that said that.
Me too.
I've said that on this show where
Really?
I said that, especially considering what we know about the death of Chadwick, right? He died, and how they had to rewrite the script and stuff. You couldn't tell. I thought they did a hell of a job with it. Yeah.
And what'd they say happened to the Black Panther?
I don't know. I think
I don't know.
It's
That
such
seems
a
like
good,
kind of a
such
key
a,
to it.
such a good
It was
movie.
that
I don't know.
good.
They wrote him out. I mean, he died.
Yeah,
I mean,
he died in it somehow.
Yeah.
Huh.
I can't remember how they said he died.
Okay. All right, well,
good. I know what it was. He had something. I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's
because
only
the
been out.
sister had to make something to try to save his life or something, and then failed, and then anyway.
Did rectal ozone therapy?
I mean, right? If they only
didn't work.
that's the thing about Wakanda, they just don't have that there. You know.
Okay.
Seems like they're technologically advanced,
Yeah, they
way
should.
beyond us, and
That's
they don't
true.
have rectal therapy.
I know.
The rectal
Good point.
ozone therapy. That's
a
surprising.
Good point.
That is surprising.
But I didn't see the movie, so
Yeah, I
don't
didn't
know.
either. I didn't either. But it's time to send Gwyneth over there so that she can clue him in.
How about Wakanda forever?
And this is just really quality entertainment from Fox Nation. I think this is this on this weekend? But here's a promo of Fox Nation with the two Nigerian brothers in the Jussie Smollett case. They went out on the streets of Chicago, went to where the incident actually took place, and reenacted it.
Oh, no.
Reenacted that fateful night when it was, remember, 2 a.m.
Yeah.
It was 20 below zero. And here's what the two Nigerian
Jussie Smollett
brothers.
was just minding his own business.
Yeah, right.
Coming back from Subway.
And here's what happened, according to them.
They took our beautiful bench.
Oh, no.
This is where we waited for Jussie to come before we attacked them. So we got here with 10 minutes to spare, and we had to plan our escape route to survey the land. His building is actually right here, right above the stairs that we're going to attack him at. We made sure we got there at 2 a.m. sharp. On the dot. On the dot. We had no phones because he did not want us to bring any phones. He said, so we don't lose them. I don't know if that's really the reason, but you can deduce your own reason. So 2 a.m., he was nowhere to be found. He was not there.
Oh, boy.
So we were like, damn, what do? We didn't have no way of contacting him. He had no way of contacting us. So we waited here for about, what, 4 minutes? It was about 4 Roughly minutes, 4 minutes. but it felt like forever. Because it was cold as balls. So I saw him out the corner of my eye, and I was like, okay, that's him. Let's go.
That's cool. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. Is that him? That's that Nick. That's that Nick. Get that Nick. Oh, he's moving fast. Come on, let's get him. Get that Nick. Let's get him. As we crossed the street, we said hey to get his attention. Hey, Nick. Hey. He turned around, looked at us, and that's when we started yelling the famous slurs he wanted us to yell. Hey, Aren't you that Empire Empire fat Nick? it's MAGA country. And then he said, what did you say to me? And then that's when I threw the first punch at him.
Oh, wow.
I held the blow because I didn't want to hurt him, of course.
Right, of
so
course.
I made it look real, but I held it. Then we started tussling, moving around, and then I threw him to the ground. He wanted it to look like he fought back. That was very important for him because he said, hey, don't just beat my ass, make it look like I'm fighting back and whatnot. So we did that. And then I threw him to the ground. And after I threw him to the ground, he had no bruise. I wanted it to look more real. So then I threw him to the ground. After I threw him to the ground, I used my knuckle and gave him a noogie. So I went like this.
So he went like that.
Why did I do that? To
Why'd
give
you
him
do
a
that?
scar, to give him a mark, to make it look real. Like he really did get his ass beat. After I did
that was from a noogie.
I fake kicked him. I don't know what he was doing. I wasn't paying attention.
That's where I came around with the bleach, the infamous bleach in the hot sauce bottle.
In the hot sauce.
Poured it on his shirt. Then I finally put the rope around his face. I did not put it around his neck. I just placed it on his face. And that's when we took off.
These guys could do an MUSC video, man.
That's good stuff.
That is incredible. How is it possible there's not any footage of that?
Yeah, no footage.
How did they completely avoid any surveillance camera?
In a major American city.
Incredible, isn't it?
At an apartment complex that a Hollywood actor lives in.
Yeah.
You know, there's...
In the year 2019.
Well...
We should have that whole thing on tape.
A lot of those cameras can't work when it's cold as balls.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, that would shut down the cameras, being that cold.
I don't want to know how you come to that temperature.
I don't know. And what are we talking, soccer balls? Or are we talking...
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Footballs, baseballs. It's my experience, none of those balls are that cold, really. But
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
Just depends.
Okay. Anyway, I had more to say, but I'm not going to.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Depending on how cold the balls get.
So, on The View this week, with the Coven, they had a nice little discussion going on, and apparently Joy had some things to say. Then Sonny Hostin.
We have not been fortunate enough to hear enough Joy lately.
Right. Well, see,
I know.
From the Coven.
This is just a weird conversation where they're just shooting the breeze.
On the View?
And
hard to
she
believe.
makes this comment like it's totally normal to go and snoop through people's medicine cabinets. Anyway, so after she makes that weird comment, then Sonny Hostin talks about how she avoids grocery stores now since the pandemic. Okay, whatever. This is just weird.
All right.
Yeah.
When I would go to somebody's house, I'd snoop in the bathroom to see what kind of birth control they were using.
What was funny to me is that Joy, you have never ordered from Instacart.
No.
You like to go to a grocery store?
I do. I enjoy a supermarket.
I don't like a supermarket. I haven't been in a supermarket since COVID. For about 3 years. That's when I discovered Instacart.
Okay, yeah, so...
She hasn't been there for 3 years.
3 years. That is sad.
3 years.
I mean...
Uh-oh. Here we go.
You don't go now?
I mean,
let's say you stopped.
Not because of COVID.
All through 2020 you didn't go, but come on.
Not because of COVID, but I mean, the idea and, having your goods delivered to your home.
Yeah, it's
or
convenient.
You order it and pick it up at the store so I don't have to go in.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean.
I like that.
Sure.
But do you avoid it because you're paranoid by everybody else's shadow the way Sonny Hostin is?
No, but I mean, I don't. It doesn't bother me that I don't see them.
That you don't see Sonny Hostin in the grocery store?
Or the other people.
Yeah, it wouldn't bother me either. But also from The View, as we catch up on our Coven watching this week.
Good.
We also found out something that we've known since the 60s. Jane Fonda sucks. Yeah. If you haven't heard, last week, she appeared to endorse the murder of pro-lifers. Okay. All right. If this had been a conservative, of course.
Oh, boy.
All hell would break loose, and it'd be the only thing you hear about this week.
Another Hollywood elitist.
Yeah. Here's what she had to say.
We have experienced many decades now of having agency over our body, of being able to determine when and how many children to have. We know what that feels like. We know what that's done for our lives. We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are. We're not going back.
Not going back to protecting children. Why would you do that?
That's Jane speaking, and she probably will get a Nobel Prize.
But it's the truth.
Very soon.
It is the truth. We're not going to do it.
Besides marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Oh, Whoopi's not
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a miraculous.
Go back, because you got to hear this.
Murder.
And she probably will get a Nobel Prize.
But it's the truth.
Very soon.
It is the truth. We're not going to do it.
Besides marching and protesting, what else do you suggest? Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a miraculous. What did you say?
Murder.
She's kidding. Wait a second. She's just kidding. Don't say that. That's you don't know. They'll pick up on that and just run with it.
Worst.
She's just kidding.
Well, let me talk to you about.
That look on her face isn't.
Let's move on and talk about Jane's activism, which is legendary.
Yeah, legendary. She sat on a howitzer, a North Vietnamese howitzer. While our troops were dying. Yeah, it's legendary.
Passed information to our enemy.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Or shared information. There's footage of her sharing information with our enemies. I mean, that's agonizing.
While men were being tortured in Vietnamese prisons. God, I mean, and then you celebrate her because she just said that murder is an option for pro-lifers. And she said it not once, but twice.
And not everyone. She didn't ever apologize for that, by the way. The group did.
Yeah.
You know, and what's her face? Her co-star there. Why can't I think of her name?
Lily
Tomlin.
Lily Tomlin.
She's just kidding. But and she
wasn't kidding at all.
That look on her face.
She gives the serious look that no, she's not. You know, and I guess she'll say, "Oh, I was just being funny." No way. No way was she being funny at all.
There wasn't even so much as a grin on her face.
No.
She was dead serious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. And that's what we're up against. You know?
Hideous.
That's where Preborn comes in. I mean, we have the best audience on the face of the planet, the best audience ever, and several of you came up with a life-saving idea.
So great. This is so unique to this audience.
So we're joining forces with Preborn right now to sponsor an ultrasound machine to help save countless babies for years to come. And this was your idea.
Yep.
These life-saving ultrasound machines cost $15,000, more than most centers can afford. So here's the plan. We're looking for 30 patheads to rise up who will donate $500 each. All these gifts are tax deductible, and once we reach the goal, this machine will be placed in a needy woman's center.
How cool is this? I mean, this is as organic
really
as it
awesome.
gets. This is from Call It Like I See It on Twitter and Amy What's Her Face. This was their idea. This is so cool. This plan here.
So these precious babies and their moms need our help now more than ever. I mean, look what we're up against with people like the Coven and their guests who suggest murdering pro-lifers. And don't tell me that that's not what she was doing, because she absolutely was. So here's how you do it. You just go to preborn.com/Pat, and when you donate, make sure you type Pathead Machine, and your donation will go directly to this cause for a brand new ultrasound machine. That's preborn.com/Pat. Or dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. Pound 250, keyword baby.
And even if you can't give the full $500 here, that they're saying, hey, we'd love to get, just any amount helps, and we'll go to this as long as you put in Pathead Machine in the little code box.
And in the meantime, we'll keep you updated on the progress as we try to raise that $15,000 for this ultrasound machine. And our goal is to get this done by Mother's Day as a special gift to bless hurting mothers and babies who desperately need our help.
That's awesome.
And again, just a reminder why the ultrasound machines are so important. Once the expectant mother who is considering abortion sees the ultrasound, they are much more likely, over twice as likely, to choose life then. Even though they're considering abortion, 2 times the amount then choose life. And then they go into action to help them with all kinds of other things. So that's why your donation is so important. Please join us. Remember to note Pathead Machine when you go to preborn.com/Pat for Operation Pathead Machine.
Pat Gray.
Welcome. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Sure and Begorra. 'Tis a fine day.
Jeffy's breaking news here. There's an IHOP near you that you weren't aware of?
Yeah, there used to be a bank. There was a bank building, and I drove by there the other day. I hadn't been by there in a while, and I'm like, that's an IHOP now?
Oh, wow.
I mean, I am living large in my area now.
It went from a bank to an IHOP.
Yeah, corner right in the Lowe's parking lot. What was
this?
Wow.
Bank of America.
Wow.
But really?
But the banking system is secure.
It's secure.
So shut up.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that makes me feel good about it.
Right.
You know, at least something productive is coming out of the failed branches.
They paved over a bank and put up an IHOP.
I mean, I love it.
Yeah, it works out.
Mistress JoJo tweets, has everyone gone insane? Kids are confused. Let them work through it. You don't gender change your son who has a penchant for girly stuff.
No kidding.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
No kidding.
I mean, that's just hatefulness right there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you can't be agreeing with that. Of course you do. You immediately start puberty blockers and radical surgery, where you start mutilating.
How is that even a thought?
I don't know.
How is that even truly a thought?
So insane. Mount Jur Climber. I'm just shocked that Keith saw a recently released movie when he hasn't seen movies that were released 40 years ago.
Me too.
I saw it over Thanksgiving.
Hashtag me too. Wait.
From Land of the Fleek, Burr, it's cold. Burr, it's cold as balls. It's cold, Burr. Cold as balls. Burr.
But it doesn't specify which balls, though.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Basketballs, baseballs.
But I can guarantee my wife would never say that. So, but that's what's being alleged
Why?
here. Apparently.
She doesn't like soccer,
You're
football,
right.
baseball.
Yes. No, she doesn't like any of those
Let
sports.
Jeffy just keep talking.
Okay.
Abe Lincoln, these Nigerian brothers are a shoe-in for a Netflix series now.
Nice.
Probably. Hey, coming up in just a few minutes now, we'll be joined by Jason Hanley, the Vice President of Education and Visitor Engagement at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Got some nice questions for him that I am hoping he will answer rather than say, well, yeah, that's not really my job. I'm not really responsible for that. Okay, that would be very disappointing, wouldn't it? Obviously, we want to ask about Foreigner, but I mean, there's so many more than that. Like, who would you say should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Jeffy, that isn't?
Well, I think we found out last week the B-52s.
Okay, the B-52s. All right, there's one. I don't know that they've even been nominated.
I don't know that they have either. I mean, if they were nominated, they'd be in.
Keith is partial to Tommy James and the Shondells.
That's a good call.
Absolutely.
And the Monkees.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm obviously we talk about Foreigner a lot, but there's also Styx and Boston.
That's incredible to me.
Yeah, I mean, how are those bands not? They're iconic.
Oh my gosh! And if you talk about bands that change direction of music, Boston is definitely there.
There was absolutely in 1976 when More Than a Feeling came out. There was absolutely nothing like it on the radio.
I actually just heard Long Time the other day.
So good.
And I hadn't heard it in a long time. In fact, I don't think I'd heard it since the last time I rode with you somewhere. And it was so good.
Yeah, it is.
It was so good.
Yes, it is. And don't try to pawn off the short version of that song either.
No. You got to have the build up. You got to have it all. Yes. We're going deep tracks tonight at 2 a.m., okay?
So anyway, we'll ask him about a few of those things. And, maybe start with talking about how fun it is that, we can kick this around every year.
That is fun.
It is fun.
It is.
Yeah.
No question.
It's fun. And then everybody can argue about whether they should or should not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But I think we can all agree that when there's a Country Western Hall of Fame, that's the place for Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson. Okay?
But they've meant so much to music.
Yes, they have, haven't they? And what
influencers to so many artists, Pat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, couldn't you say that about some of these rock artists? And a lot of these rock songs are turned into country songs. So why aren't rock artists being inducted into the Country Hall of Fame?
Do we know that they're not?
They're not. I guarantee they're not. Yes, I think we do know they're not.
Okay, I'm just asking. I mean, I have not visited the Country.
Haven't you?
Hall of Fame.
I don't even know where the Country Hall of Fame. Probably Nashville.
Got to be in Nashville.
You would think.
Yeah.
But I mean, would you ever guess that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland? I wouldn't guess that.
They needed something. It was the 80s, all right? Had to have a victory up there.
Yeah, desperately.
We've had this really interesting sort of photo for a couple of days that
it's a video.
People are wondering if it's a ghost or is it just glare or is it swamp gas or something.
Trucker going down.
Arizona trucker sharing
Look
some
at that.
footage of this.
Whoa, what was that? What was that?
Okay, here.
Holy cow.
Hold on.
Here comes, and there it goes. Oh,
Hey,
Oh.
hey now.
do we have a still shot of it?
Yeah, we do. Hold on. First, let's do slow motion.
All right.
Okay. After further review, the call on the road, it stands or is it overturned? Is it a ghost? Is it a ghost? Is it a ghost? Is it a ghost?
Oh, yeah.
Pat, is that a ghost?
That is no, it's not a ghost. There are no ghosts.
That's not a
What do you mean
ghost.
there's no ghosts?
What do you mean there's no ghost? There's no ghost?
There are no ghosts.
Like that's definitive?
That's definitive.
We've concluded that
You
right
take
here?
that to the bank. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know people who have interacted with.
Yeah, same here. A lot of people.
That's a fact.
A lot of people.
I have a photograph, in fact, of that has a ghost in it.
So are you that
with
quick to
family
dismiss
members.
that there's no ghost?
No ghosts.
Wow, you're not even willing to entertain the fact that
Now
we
that's
have
possible
trustworthy
that that's
sources?
just someone.
Yeah, I think that.
someone that having an out of body experience.
Is that where I thought you were going with that? Okay. I thought you were going to say it's possible that that's just glare.
Oh, how dare you! That pisses me off. You think that's glare.
Does it?
Yeah. Oh man.
Does it? Okay. No. All right.
I don't know.
Ghost or no ghost, it's up to you. But I will say, Jason Hanley, Vice President of Visitor Engagement at the Rock Hall of Fame, next.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
Welcome, 888-900-3393, Pat Unleashed on Twitter. We are joined by Jason Hanley, who is the Vice President of Education and Visitor Engagement at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. Jason, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Hey, no problem. Thank you. Good morning, and happy St. Patrick's Day to all you guys.
And right back at you. Listen, how many people visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame every year?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot. The museum is a really fantastic place to visit, and we get somewhere in the neighborhood of about 500,000 people or more coming every year. And what's exciting to me is it's people from all over the United States, all around the world, travel to Cleveland, Ohio to visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And for me, I was, after hearing all about Cleveland and, you get the jokes about Cleveland and people remind you about the water that burst into flame back in the 70s.
The city that time forgot, stuff like that.
You're named after it.
I loved Cleveland. I thought Cleveland was fantastic.
I agree with you, Pat. I'll tell you, I'm originally from New York myself, so I'm not a native Clevelander, and I have just really grown to love the city of Cleveland. It's a beautiful place. It's affordable. It's easy to live in. It's a really great town.
Yeah. Tell me about the process. What is the process of being considered for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
So that's the $1 million question everybody always wants to talk about, right? Like what are the requirements? How do you get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? So there's really only one steadfast rule, and that's it has to be 25 years since your first recording, album, single, whatever the first thing you put out. So once you reach that 25 years, you're eligible. Now, the rest of it gets a little murky. It's different from something like, let's say, the Baseball Hall of Fame or the Football Hall of Fame. If you had so many home runs each season and you have so many career home runs or at-bats, that's going to put you in the running for the Baseball Hall of Fame. In the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we don't necessarily look at things like chart success or how many hit singles you have. What we're really talking about is the impact you had on rock and roll and music. You know, did you change something? Did you invent a new style? Did you push the music forward? And what was the impact you had on the greater world? What was, you know, did your music influence different things around the world, change things in culture? And that's the sort of stuff we look at. And also, did you influence other musicians? You know, the joke is you take a band like the Velvet Underground, they didn't sell a lot of records when you really look at it. But they influenced so many other musicians, right? To start bands and to become rock and roll musicians.
I mean, that's how you get to Dolly Parton.
Is it though?
Right.
Is that? I mean, that is one that confuses me a bit because there's a country Hall of Fame, right? That's where she seems to belong, and yet last year she was inducted into the Rock Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And there's actually about, I think it's about 6 or 7 artists who are in both the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Because I'll give you a little bit better example for me. What I would say is I would consider Johnny Cash, you know, one of the essential rock and roll artists. But he's also in the Country Music Hall of Fame because he's recorded so many records that are considered there. Now, with Dolly, what's interesting is her music tends to fit more in the countryside, but it's that influence piece, right? Think of how many artists have recorded, have, you know, talked about her, the impact she's had on music and culture. So with Dolly Parton, you're really thinking about somebody who had a larger impact on music and rock and roll music and rock and roll musicians. So it's not just the fact that she recorded, you know, a bunch of bluegrass albums, which, by the way, has a big impact on rock and roll too. You know, we've got Bill Monroe inducted as an early influence, the guy who started bluegrass music.
It's interesting, though, to me that like rock artists would never be considered for the Country Hall of Fame, right? But
yes,
there's a couple of crossovers, right? He said,
are there any crossovers from rock? Like, are the Eagles, for instance, in the Country Hall of Fame? I don't
know, and that's
the
interesting thing, right? So here's the weird thing I always talk about with country music, particularly. If you sort of think of it, country is an ingredient you put into rock and roll, right? Country, along with the blues, rhythm and blues, gospel music, all of these things kind of blend in the early days in the 1940s and 50s to create rock and roll. So rock and roll is sort of an offshoot in many ways, or it has country built into it. But you're right, there are some artists who kind of go back the other way, the Eagles being a great example, right? Or the Byrds. You think about the Byrds, you know, started as a psychedelic rock band and ended up, you know, doing Sweetheart of the Rodeo, which is a fantastic kind of country record, right?
Yeah. So who decides this? Who decides who gets nominated? And then what is the process after they're nominated to induct?
So each year, the nominating committee, which is a group of about 40 folks who are musicians, some inductees, some journalists, scholars, a few music industry folks, they all meet and they look at the list, which is an ever-growing list, as you guys can imagine, right? It's a giant list of anyone who is eligible who meets those criteria I just talked about. And they create a ballot. And usually that ballot has anywhere from, you know, 15 to 20 artists that get listed on there. Once that ballot is created, it goes out to a fan vote, which is up and online right now at rockhall.com, and the fans can go and vote and talk about, you know, what they want to see inducted. There are over 1,000 ballots that go out.
How much influence does that fan vote have, though?
If any, does it have any influence in the process?
The fan vote, and this is the part a lot of people talk about, it only counts as one official ballot. So all those fan votes get put into a ballot that's cast. But I'll tell you this, the sort of visibility of the fan vote has been what I think is the most interesting thing about the whole process. Because in the past, before we had that, a lot of people said, well, fans would have voted for somebody else. They would have voted for, you know, Iron Maiden, and the voters are not going out and doing that. Because, again, there's about 1,000 voters who are voting. It's anybody who is an inductee. So, in fact, all the guys in Judas Priest and Dolly Parton are going to get a vote this year.
Right.
The fan vote is a great way to look at what people are voting for, what fan groups are coming out. You know, this year, right now, George Michael is at the top of the fan vote because his fans have just come out and really supported him for induction into the Hall of Fame.
I once heard a story and I think Paul McCartney told it about calling Ringo Starr and saying, "Hey, you're not inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist. Would you like to be?" And Ringo Starr supposedly, obviously, said yes. And so McCartney talks about calling Bruce Springsteen, and they got the job done. Can that happen? Is that the process
Not
for some
legally.
of these superstars?
No, not really. What Paul, I think, was referring to, and I know that story, it's kind of a famous story, is that he felt bad because the Beatles are all inducted, right? The Beatles were inducted fairly early on in the process. As you can imagine, you're not going to have a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame without the Beatles.
Right.
And all of the other guys, John, George, and Paul, were inducted also as solo artists. So Paul McCartney is inducted for all the great solo records.
Right.
So that conversation was between him and Ringo saying, like, hey, man, I feel bad for you that you're not inducted as a solo artist. What people can do, of course, like they can do in anything like that, is sort of lobby for it. So Paul just started talking to a lot of people saying, hey, Ringo's name should come up at some point for induction as a solo artist.
Ringo was
now,
pissed.
I will say what happened is Ringo got inducted under the category, the Award for Musical Excellence, which is not voted on. That is something that a committee of folks, scholars, and artists, and others at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame can induct somebody in that category. And that's how Ringo got in. So I think Paul tells a good story, and it's
he does.
There's a basis of truth in there, right?
Okay.
He did have those conversations, but it's not like he flipped the switch and suddenly Ringo was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Whatever you say. Whatever you say. I'm sure that someone at the hall is going to pick up the phone when Paul calls.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sure.
That's right. Exactly right.
Is
No doubt.
McCartney also in with Wings? Is it Beatles, Wings, and so? Oh, he's not in with Wings.
No, in fact, the only example I have somebody who's in about 3 times is Clapton.
Eric Clapton. But,
He's been inducted as a solo artist as the Yardbirds, and shoot, I just forgot the last one.
Cream, I believe.
There you go, Cream. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Now, my pet peeve project for years has been to get Foreigner inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We heard one of the officials, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was from the Rock Hall last year, that said they'd never even come up in the Not only have they not been nominated, but they've never even been mentioned to be nominated. How is that possible with an artist like that?
Yeah, well, I can't speak to that. I'll admit I'm not in the nominating room myself, but man, I'll tell you, I think Foreigner's a fantastic band. I've always been a big fan of theirs too, and the formation of them in the 70s all the way up through their incredible string of hits in the 80s. And I have to admit, as somebody who was a Miami Vice fan in the 80s, Foreigner's music was a big deal on television too. Yeah, I think that's a band who absolutely could be part of the conversation, right? In fact, in that sort of category of big 70s and 80s arena rock, we did induct Journey.
Recently.
And they're sort of
Def Leppard.
They're sort of in that same Def Leppard. Yeah, exactly.
So you're not in the room when they, when they close the doors. But what do you hear in the hallways? what do you hear? Because I feel like there's got to be some kind of hall collusion going on.
Right. I'll tell you, that is true. We talk about it all the time, and I talk to artists who come to the museum and others about it, and that's the great thing. There's so many different musical styles that fit under rock and roll, and that's where a lot of people are passionate. Now, I think a band like Foreigner could get inducted someday, right? They've got all the impact and influence. They are a band that's been around long enough at this point. And I think what happens is because there's so many different sounds and styles, sometimes certain names bubble to the top. If recently Journey and, like we said, Def Leppard and other bands, were getting inducted, it may be that Foreigner didn't kind of get into the last part of that conversation. But that doesn't mean they won't, right? I mean, that's a conversation that can come up at any time. And I have to tell people, this goes back to the kind of thing of, Paul McCartney maybe getting people interested in something or lobbying for it. That happened a few years ago. The great Sister Rosetta Tharpe, who was an early gospel blues guitar player. She's amazing. If you don't know her, look her up. She got inducted because there was sort of a resurgence in rediscovering her. There was a book that was done about her. There was a movie. Suddenly a lot of people were like, hell, how is this woman not inducted into the Rock Hall? She influenced so many other guitar players, including Chuck Berry and Jimi Hendrix. And there was sort of a groundswell for it. So I think that's the great thing, is that at any time, an artist is never uneligible for the Rock Hall. It's not like, we have to stop talking about Foreigner or some other bands and not induct them.
Until recently, there was scuttlebutt, and maybe it's just that there were certain artists that are sort of blackballed, and arena rock artists were among those.
Yeah.
But then, like we said, Journey and Def Leppard have been inducted. So wouldn't that open it up maybe for the Foreigner, Boston Styx type of bands? I mean, Boston was pretty influential, were they not?
Yes.
I mean, there was nothing like Boston before they came around.
No, you're right. I mean, Boston's an interesting group. They didn't have a ton of records, but that's not something that stopped you from getting inducted. The Sex Pistols really only had one album.
Right.
When you look at it, there's a lot of bootlegs,
Richie Valens,
a lot of live records. Richie Valens, totally right. So I think Boston, especially the work that Tom did there on recording and layering the guitars. Who's got
innovative.
Listen to those albums and you think that's all those vocal sounds, all those harmonies and layers. That's all just Brad singing. It's mind blowing to think about that. Right?
It really is.
Hi, Jason. This is Keith Malinak. You obviously have one of the coolest jobs in the world, and if I'm not mistaken, you've probably been at the Rock Hall for, is it 20 years now? I mean,
it's almost about 18 and a half years.
That's incredible, man.
Awesome.
So I would gather, and obviously I don't know all the ins and outs there. I don't pretend to, but I would gather that you have some bit of influence there. At least, you have connections within the building. And I just wonder if, as long as you're writing down Foreigner from Pat, you could also write down Tommy James and the Shondells, which I can't believe that there is a Rock Hall of Fame that doesn't have this band and that innovator, Tommy James, inducted, even mentioned. I don't understand that at all, and it just it leads to conspiracy theories. I mean, you mentioned the Beatles. You can't have a Rock Hall without the Beatles. Well, there's an individual in that band, George Harrison, I'm sure you've heard of, and he looked to Tommy James to record some stuff with because he was trying to invent a new sound based on the innovative spirit that Tommy James had brought to rock and roll. And if that's a big push, there is the influence that artists have on other artists. I got news here. Over 300 musicians have recorded versions of Tommy James songs.
Totally.
You want to talk
Joan
about
Jett and Billy Idol and
having influence there, and that's not. Aside from the influence, listen, I know you know all of these hits and I could go through all of them, but just here's a few that jump out. Hanky Panky, I Think We're Alone Now, Mony Mony, Crimson and Clover, Crystal Blue Persuasion, Dragging the Line. And to have this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame...
Those weren't all Tiffany songs? Weird. That's really weird.
And I just wonder,
Cardi B.
Okay.
If you're writing down, especially when you mentioned the, I forgot what term you use, legacy or something, like there's a special pathway for some of these artists. If we're not going to present him for official nomination, maybe we go that route, because that, I think, is a big miss on the part of the Rock Hall there.
All right, man. That was an impressive argument. I'm on board. Well, I'll tell you too. Look, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's not perfect, right?
Yeah. I got you.
We all know that.
I always joke in the beginning years when the museum first was doing its first induction ceremony in 1986, and they were like, "All right, who do we put on the ballot? Who do we induct?" And they were like, "Let's see, Elvis Presley, Fats Domino, Jerry Lee Lewis." I mean, it was a pretty easy list to come up with, right?
Yep.
Nowadays, you've got so much music to look at. And I will tell you, I'm actually in totally agreement with you 100% on the Tommy James and the Shondells thing. In fact, Tommy's an incredible guy. He's been to the museum. If you look at some of the history of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he's kind of been a good friend of ours. He's performed at induction ceremonies. In fact, when Joan Jett played Crimson and Clover for her induction, Tommy was on stage with her. I personally interviewed Tommy James at the Rock Hall and did a career retrospective history of his music, the Shondells, what he wrote, what he was involved with in the early days. And I think you're right. And that, you mentioned, too, we talked about sort of that category for musical excellence. That's really been in the last couple of years where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has been able to do that award, which counts as a full induction, by the way. Some people say, oh, well, is it not? No, that's a full induction, but it's a way for us to say there's some of these artists that maybe have gotten overlooked in the voting process. And, you know, they're names that are hard to argue against. Like if Tommy James gets inducted, there's not going to be a lot of people out there saying he shouldn't be, right? So I think you're right. I think that's a name that's still out there. And, you know, I always say it's not chronological.
Yeah.
It feels like it should be. It feels like you should say you can't induct, let's say, Metallica until Iron Maiden is inducted, right? Because you kind of want to pay respect to the forefathers first, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, look, I'm one of those guys. I'm a big heavy metal fan. And I'm like, man, we got to get Iron Maiden.
Right.
I'm still pulling, and I talk in the hallways, as you guys mentioned, about Motorhead all the time. I was a big fan of that, and you know, got to know Lemmy from Motorhead pretty well before he passed away. But it's not chronological, and those names keep coming back. And you know, you even see a band this year like the Spinners. Great Philly soul band, are back on the ballot after having been there previously a few times and not getting inducted. So, I think you guys, Tommy James and Foreigner, are two good choices.
Yeah.
Is there a point at which you stop talking about a band? Maybe it's been too long. Like, you know, with the Baseball Hall of Fame, they stop nominating after a certain amount of
Ineligible.
years. Does that situation exist too at the Rock Hall of Fame, or
There is not, and I'll tell you, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because on one hand, with the Baseball Hall of Fame, because people, after so many years, they can't be nominated anymore, it does put a little bit of an urgency to get certain people in. It's like, hey, this is the last time so-and-so is eligible. If he doesn't get the votes this year, he's not going to get in, right? With the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we don't do that, and the reason why, on the positive side of it, is that music is always changing.
Right.
There may be something that none of us can predict, that 5 years from now, there's going to be a whole new sound, a whole new type of rock and roll that's based off of an artist none of us even think of right now. It's somebody who's an obscure artist from the 70s or something, right? So you don't want to say, well, you've already passed the time for that person to be eligible. Things change. You can have an artist who maybe got nominated before, who didn't make it in, who sort of gets rediscovered, and people are reappreciating that music. So, you know, because of the fact that rock and roll is always changing, you know, this is when the museum first opened. People said, how can you make a museum about something that's still living and vibrant and is changing all the time? And it's true. And fans are passionate. That's the thing I love. You know, when we started off, you asked about how many people come each year. That's my favorite part of the job, being here for 18 years, is the passion and excitement. Even when people are coming in and yelling at me and saying, why isn't Varner inducted? You know, it's like, man, I appreciate your passion for that. Like, that's awesome. That's why I've been here. That's why I work here.
Yeah.
You know, as a historian of rock and roll, that passion we all have for this music we love, that's what makes it matter in the end, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
100%.
Jason, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate your joining us. Vice President of Education and Visitor Engagement at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Pushing my luck if I say write down the Monkees, too, right?
You're pushing your luck with me, but I don't know about Jason.
That was a great time, man.
Jason, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
and,
thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. And he was good about it.
Yeah.
He was a really good sport.
Yes.
And
what a cool job, man.
I like that. Very cool job. And you know what? It is fun to have that debate.
It is.
On who belongs and who doesn't belong. And
it's nice to live in a country where we can argue about music acts. Do they belong in the Rock Hall or not? As opposed to, hey, how are we going to put food on the table tonight? You know, I mean,
because that may not always be the case.
Exactly my point. I was just about to say that. How much longer are we going to?
So thank heaven that for now, at least, we can argue about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
So true.
We can also argue about whether Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport is the best big airport in North America.
Oh, it's certainly when you drive by there, they charge you, so they do well
yes,
at that.
they do.
You talk about
what do you have to? You have to pay $2 just to go around.
You can't. I mean,
just to go around the block and pick somebody up.
I'm nervous driving by it every morning, thinking they're going to ding my bank account for money.
You get in that right lane, you're like, I hope that thing doesn't pick up over here.
If you've ever been to DFW, you know how confusing it is too. Yeah. I mean, you got roadways going every which way, and the signs are not totally clear.
Serious question. Before there were cell phones, how did you pick someone up at that airport? Because if you don't know the exact gate that you're going to before you leave the house,
you're done.
And half the time it changes before you get there.
Yes.
It's such a terrible airport. I just can't stand it. And the people that fly into it love it.
And it's huge, and it's got 5 different terminals.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so
if you fly in and you're making
confusing.
a connecting flight, if you're inside, sure, it's a fine enough airport. But if you are approaching from the outside, man, it is the worst place.
Almost 74 million people arrive and depart last year.
Bigger than Manhattan Island, that airport.
Which is that's amazing.
That's a fact right there. If you've ever spent any time in Manhattan or flown over it, you're like, that's
amazing fact.
Than DFW.
Fortunately, there's not 8 million people at the airport at any one given time. Though,
well,
like Manhattan. So
Buttigieg is still in charge.
I know.
So it could happen.
Yeah, it definitely could.
True.
All right. We're all out of time. Have a great weekend. Jeffy and Keith will be handling the overtime, and I'll see you on the Glenn Beck program coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, if you want to vote, rockhall.com. They've got the nominations right there on the front screen.
Which your vote means virtually nothing.
That's right, we learned.
But do it. But go ahead and vote.
1 vote out of 1,000? That's what it is? Oh, man. Jeez. All right, see you Monday.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.